So those that dwelt inside the earth came to the surface, and they took over everything. Everything is a lie. All these religions are based on lies that were once the truth. And the people are worshiping things. If they knew what they were worshiping, they'd trip out. But you can't tell the world. It's not for them to know yet. Then they talk about the invasion. Shoot, the invasion was in 1947. When they crippled a couple of ships using a form of sonar, they went on the ships and they found human body parts. They had the science of being able to dissolve the human body and turn it into fuel for their ships.
Viewer discretion is advised. This content may not be suitable for indoctrinated viewers.
People are afraid to be pried loose from their ignorance because they know their ignorance so well. They know it better than they know their body odors. And if you say, come on, give up your ignorance, they get into that terrible position, terrifying position which Shakespeare talks about. They'd rather bear the ills they have than fly to others that they know not of. Thus conscience doth make cowards of us all.
After each reset, they established reset rules to govern the post-reset world. After the resets and reset wars of the 17 and 1800s, the remaining rebels were rounded up in the Kirkbride Plan and thrown into asylums. America had become completely captured, and these amazing structures from the previous civilization had been used as the foundation to establish reset rules. They established the first passport-style IDs for attendees and for the employees, and people were given diplomas for attending the exposition. Their indoctrination was being certified. The entry passes were printed by the same people that print the money. ABC Corp. They produced the money, the stamps, and the stock certificates. This company primed the population for fiat currency after the 1775 to 1815 reset period. These fairs were a mechanism to train fiat people with fiat money and give them pseudo status. These cities were empty after the resets, and they were being repopulated with these orphan train babies and incubator babies.
It is quite sad when you consider that so many of us have no idea where we come from. There are so many people on this planet who have no idea where they come from. I'm one of them. I can't go back beyond a couple of generations. And the reason for that is because of war. It's because of slavery. It's because of large human trafficking efforts that take place. And because you have situations where like a bomb is dropped, and like one kid survives, it doesn't even have a memory of his father or his mother.
These events were also used to misidentify people and hide the identity of the real American Aboriginals. They held massive events to portray Native Americans as savages, and they used fake Native Americans to do it.
If you don't know where you came from, you know nothing. If we don't know history, we know nothing. Everything is becoming an ever-present. Now, the reason why I'm speaking to you about this is twofold, because it's very important for us to understand that, again, the job is to not just delete your ancestral history via never-ending wars, moving people around, large human trafficking operations. Essentially, you don't have a memory of yesterday.
The fake natives were trained to play a role in society for certain benefits, reservations, casinos. These schools are just like orphan asylums, programming centers. And the real aboriginals that got rounded up were trained to take on the slave mentality in their asylums. And the president was assassinated at the Buffalo World's Fair. Then Theodore Roosevelt took over. Him and J.P. Morgan teamed up with Edward Curtis. Edward Curtis staged all the Native American photos that we've been indoctrinated with. You know, these type of photos? They completely manufacture Native American history. Because if everybody is an immigrant and the people that were supposedly there first were just savages, you deserve to rule the land. And the human zoos were used to treat all dark people as a monolith of savages. But these are pre-colonial permanent fireproof buildings. First-hand account of how they're permanent buildings, and many of these buildings still stand today. Tesla supposedly learned about remote electricity at the Paris World's Fair. Shortly after, at the Buffalo event, Tesla's technology was used to light up the fair. And it's funny, there's no footage or audio of Tesla. But wait, they had video calling in the 1930s in Germany? Yup, look.
Okay, just while I'm thinking about it.
Oh, you son of a bitch. What have you done? Now can somebody tell me, what in tarnations is going on? It's like these men had the cheat code. They had the cheat code. They was building buildings for fun. They had bricks for days. Like, You have to understand. Let's just say there was no electricity, that they was using hammers and chisels and horse and wagon. Listen, you gotta take your hat off to these people, because how did they build these structures? And they got wicked with it. They didn't just build no little tin pan, little shed. These men built structures that could not only last the test of time, they also look beautiful. Now just take a look at this. Absolutely magnificent. We don't build structures like this. It's like these guys had the capability and the manpower to do anything they liked. They wasn't just building structures, they was making art. I can't believe that we once believed the mainstream narrative. I can't believe that we once believed a lie. But those days are over, because what happens in the dark must come to the light.
Because we're waking up, because we're coming into ourselves.
We are told that they were using chloral hydrate, a powerful sedative used to induce sleep, with horrible side effects like addiction, overdose, breathing suppression, heart rhythm problems, and liver injury. Other drugs, such as potassium bromide, which is no longer used in the USA, because of long-term effects like confusion and memory loss. Oh, what do you know? Memory loss. Really? It's spot on. It's exactly what they wanted to do. With these adults that remembered a totally different world, a different narrative than what we are told today.
We lived in castles. You took our buildings, and what you did is you turned them into churches, cathedrals, the prison system, and you used them for the prison system.
I believe that they were finding these buildings in the 17 and 1800s and repurposing them as insane asylums. These were over-the-top, massive buildings. They could literally hold thousands of people. I believe they were not going along with the reset.
It's really been a constant world war for hundreds of years. The Civil War is a great example of total war. This wasn't a war, they were just destroying the history. Then more reset wars. The revolutions across Europe in 1848 were slave uprisings. This is what caused World War I. World War II is an extension of World War I. They reset Europe, Asia, and Africa, and they were all selling opium together. And everybody in World War I was cousins. The Bolsheviks reset Russia, and Lawrence of Arabia reset the Middle East. So Britain and France carve up the Middle East so there will be perpetual conflict. So World War II starts in Poland to get Prussia back. And it's funny, the English are just Germans. World War I and II set up the wars of 47 and 48, which are the same wars as today. Then they collapse China into communism to set it up to be a rival today. Then we get dozens of isn't real wars. Look. Which brings us to today. These are mass cullings and financial reset wars. World War has slowed down but has never stopped. These wars are used to control the breeding and general flow of creativity.
The white folks didn't get here, really get here until the 20s, until the 1940s. That's when they came over here on the orphan train. Those was the slave. That's where the slave story comes from.
Where we see that in 1800, nobody was being put into these buildings. With it just totally taking off in the late 1800s to the early 1900s, getting up to 510,000 people in 1950, and then completely dropping off the table once their story was set in place.
When they was taking white children and putting them in America and taking them from city to city to state, selling them or putting them in home.
The first human beings of the new cycle, those born after the Great Reset of 1728, were readapted to their environment. They did not inherit books, but impositions. They did not inherit history, but revised versions written by the colonizers. The temples that once belonged to the previous humanity were renamed, their sculptures reinterpreted, their symbols emptied of power. They were turned into myths and myths into science.
And this is the exact same time as all of the world's fairs were taking place, where we know that they were just destroying massive palace structures in these cities.
You made up a narrative. Africa is the motherland, but they all coming over here. You use them for schools. You hid them. A lot of times, if you go in Atlanta, if you go here and you look, you will see a lot of them, they covered up with trees.
We are told that they were using chloral hydrate, a powerful sedative used to induce sleep, with horrible side effects like addiction, overdose, breathing suppression, heart rhythm problems, and liver injury. Other drugs, such as potassium bromide, which is no longer used in the USA, because of long-term effects like confusion and memory loss. Oh, what do you know? Memory loss.
We know everybody is not woke. Well, I see how we read
1871, where people didn't even have cars yet. They had to ride their horses or run around in order to escape this fire. The population simply wasn't 300,000 people like we're being told.
And these cities were actually empty, and the previous civilization was erased. And it was time, more specifically, a planned time, to demolish most of their work. And they just absolutely shredded these 17,500 buildings with massive bombs and explosives to destroy the old world civilization's construction. Buildings that would have given this entire false narrative away decades ago. Right after this 1871 fire, they tell us that they just cleaned the whole thing up, and all these other brand new buildings are magically here again. If you think that Donkeys Incorporated saddled up in the early half of the 1800s and knocked out massive cities for only 57,000 people, I think it's time to reconsider what you've been told.
See, that's your problem. You be believing anything somebody tells you or put in a book.
One guy turns to the other and says, "You know what? I think today's the day that we put a Gothic palace together." But I have no training. How are we gonna know what to do? I don't have any friends. I'm not from here. And how many people are we gonna need to build this whole thing? I know nothing about structural engineering. I haven't taken a single class learning about load-bearing capacities. How do you make the perfect foundation? We know nothing about weight distribution. Snap out of it. We don't need to document this stuff. We are Donkeys Incorporated. And this reminds me of the repeating narrative where they tell us that everything was built in a year perfectly, over and over and over, all over the world, by a guy and his donkey riding team with no power tools, no machines, no training. The stone shipping company coordinated the delivery right on time. The mud trails and the rain were never an issue. The freezing winters, they just told them to get over it and toughen up. And they get the whole building or cathedral done with no issues. Done in 7 months. 7 months. 7 months.
Tell the truth, y'all. I know y'all figured this shit out by now. All this truth coming out. What y'all think about that? Was y'all ready for all this truth to come out?
If you are enjoying the Reset Show series and you are finding yourself being enlightened, please give the video content a like and share.
It's a 2,000 by 3,000 square mile hell. That's what America is. America is Satan's headquarters. This is where the evil is rooted at and where it's spread all over the world. We gotta come out. We hostages right now. We got to come on out of this thing. We got a bad Stockholm syndrome or battered woman syndrome. We got plantation psychosis.
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, that's what they called it.
We were taught to believe that we live in a free world, that we choose, that we decide. Where do we really live? Are we part of a colonization system that has existed for a very long time? And if so, what truly happened to the humanity of the past? If our past is a story invented to fit the mold of the world they built around us, then in what other matters have we been deceived?
When you look at a city that goes from frontier settlement to possessing world-class neoclassical architecture in the span of 20 or 30 years, without commensurate documentation of construction timelines, labour forces, material sourcing, or architectural education infrastructure, what were these buildings before they became what we call them now? I'm not claiming an answer. I want to be very clear about that. I am asking a question that the evidence, to me, makes unavoidable.
We are merely the 8th humanity after the resets. Each of those humanities was instructed to forget, to build temples upon the foundations of cities that had once been greater, wiser, more connected to the divine. Each reset brought new books, new names, new versions of the same deception. And what we call progress may be nothing more than a partial reconstruction over the ruins of a vaster world.
If a prior civilization built something so sophisticated that the next civilization to arrive simply started using it, didn't need to understand it, didn't need to reverse engineer it, just turned on the water, what does that suggest about the sophistication of what came before, and why does the name of the city built on top of it explicitly reference the civilization it replaced?
Humanity lives under a script. They rewrote history, altered words, and programmed the light we see above us. And with that, they altered our perception of the real.
This isn't random. This isn't coincidence. This is a pattern. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. In 1793, the French government renamed multiple major cities simultaneously. But the French government, in 1793, is a committee of men meeting in Paris, in the middle of a civil war, in a country without railways sending dispatches by horse. The logistical capacity to simultaneously rename cities across a country of that scale and enforce those renames in a matter of days is, at minimum, worth pausing on.
For that, it is vital to remember who we were, to remember the ancestral lands beyond the ice, to remember the first humanity that walked beside the creator masters before the colonizers set foot upon these lands and turned them into a prison. And just as great Tartaria was forged in the days when the colonizers fought among themselves, so it shall be again.
In 1894, the American Board on Geographic Names issues an order that removes specific categories of words from hundreds of place names in a single action. Names with old in them tend to acknowledge that there was something before. Names with valley and ridge tend to be topographic, tied to the landscape itself, to the physical memory of a place. When you remove those words, you sever the linguistic connection between a location and its own history. Old Shawneetown becomes Shawneetown. The old is gone. The question of what old was referring to, what the older Shawneetown looked like, who built it, what was there before, stops being part of the name, stops being part of the daily vocabulary of everyone who lives there. A generation later, nobody asks.
I built this neighborhood as a way to torture the four of you psychologically for thousands of years, and you keep figuring it out and taking all the fun out of it.
Fun? So yeah, they already poison it everything we like. They poison the chicken. They know Nubians like chicken. And we didn't really eat fried chicken before they came over here, right? We didn't even eat fried chicken. We always used to roast. We really never ate chickens, really. You know, the chicken come from the dodo bird. And that's the dodo bird went extinct, they say, before they domesticated it as the chicken when these Europeans came over. That's the first thing they seen. We used to feed the dodo birds flatbread, right? The natives over here, right? And when the Europeans came, the dodo birds walked right up to them because they thinking that, hey, these guys gonna feed us. And boom, they went to killing and exterminating the dodo birds. And then boom, the ones that were left got hybridized into the chicken, which is really a scavenger, just like the pig. So yeah, the chicken eat just about anything. People don't know that.
AI took over the world hundreds of years ago. Your history is all AI. Photoshop has been around for hundreds of years, through various means. Photos themselves are much older than we are told. At least 200 years. And I don't believe the first Photoshop is in 1857 like they say. The Mona Lisa was printed. It wasn't painted. Renaissance paintings like the Mona Lisa were made with 2-micron paint. 30 to 50 microns is the average today. It was perfectly layered and couldn't be replicated today.
Yet we're supposed to believe that Da Vinci made it with mortar and pestle paints. Nothing today can be compared to what was being made in 1434 by Jan van Eyck. The reflection in the background is perfectly displaying the reversed image. No one can replicate this level of detail. This is a print, a laser print. Photoshop was also done through etching. We have all been getting catfished. How much of the history has been etched away? These are the original filters. Cartoon filter, whitewash filter, sepia, grayscale. Supposedly there were no Civil War photos in battle, but plenty right before. And it doesn't stop with people. Looks like a lively city block, huh? Those people are painted in. This is in the New York Public Library. You can see they're painted in if you look closely. That horse was never there. You can see they removed people from this one. Their legs are still there. I'm sure many of you know about the Vanilla Sky photos. What a terrible crop job there. They edit out the skies and remove buildings. The sky is commonly cropped out poorly. This whole building is superimposed onto this block. Yet they have been able to solve overexposure in the sky since 1867 with the collodion process. Oops, actually 1857. Yet we get vanilla skies even into the 20th century. Maybe this is why. Even in film we have layering. Half the people aren't even paying attention to this. And don't get me started on the sculptures. I've actually been to this place too. The name of this piece is called Deception. It's made out of a block of marble. It's a fishnet made out of a block of marble, and he made it in secrecy. More laser technology that the mutants took over after the reset. That slightly raised pinky causing that muscle flex being captured perfectly like that. The Renaissance was a reset. None of these artists existed. The technology was usurped and used to whitewash the history. And there was a hard reset between 1776 and the Civil War. AI is the opposite of Yah. It's really AI. AI has existed since ever. It is a program that is being uploaded through organic AI, aka human programs.
Somebody who's not ready to wake up will kill you for trying to wake them up. You're a threat to their livelihood for trying to wake them up out of like the days that they've been living in. They want to be dazed. They don't want to look at the reality of their world and realize like, I have 100% control over it. That will piss somebody off. It's a bunch of sheep just herding themselves right into the slaughterhouse.